California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite the show, as we have a lot to get to in the world of Southern California sports, such as the NCAA tournament on the men's and women's side. Which teams are still alive, which teams are about to kick things off, and which teams have been sent home. Also, the Clippers have been doing really good as of late. What's been the key for their turnaround, and can they become a dark horse in terms of winning it all? And speaking of the NBA, the Lakers have been up and down. They're still battling injury. LeBron James is back, and they've had a little bit of a long stretch of volleyball. This Saturday, they head on to the Windy TV in Chicago. The Lakers will be together and prepare to poke a nice little playoff spot before the playoffs begin. Also, the Galaxy finally won a point, but they tied against Portland. Meanwhile, LAFC unfortunately lost to Austin, and the Dodgers kicked off this season quite nicely with 2 wins over the Chicago Cubs in the Tokyo Series. Also, we had quite a bit happening in the NHL as the teams unfortunately moved down in the Ducks big team. Will the Ducks be able to find some way to make it back to the playoffs? All that more here on the SoCal Sports Show. It's Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday evening, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way to episode 221 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without iSports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard and on Twitch. Please do follow iSports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Also, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. We're trying to reach 400 subscribers by the end of this month and 500 by the end of April. And with your help, we could definitely make it happen. So please, please, please do your best to try to spread the word about iSports Radio and how it needs subscribers, because we're trying to reach that 500 goal by the end of April. Also, make sure to check us out on other podcast platforms such as Spreaker, Spotify, JioSaavn, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music or Amazon Audible, CastBox, Deezer, you name it. Also, make sure to check us out on our website, isportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our page dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, our merchandise shop, where you can shop t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and so much more. Also, check out our Hall of Fame, where yours truly is inductee number 10. And so much more on our website. For the last 10 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports teams around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout out to our sponsors, Plant Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, Raw Nutrition Supplements, and Vital Apparel. So without any further delay, let's get on in to what our sponsors are all about.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's That's right, everybody. Definitely check out all of our amazing sponsors, especially our most recent sponsor being Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com and use the promo code IESR in capital letters for 10% off your most recent order. And the way you can follow the SoCal Spring Sports Show on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at SoCal Show IESR. You can follow me, the host, personally at Teran Rodriguez 1. Also, if you're able to, make sure to be a part of the supporters club for the SoCal Spring Sports Show. It's only $5 a month, and if you do become a member of the supporters club, you'll get a shout out from me personally on every show. Yes, every show. In addition, after 4 months of being a member of the supporters club, you will also get an iSports Radio t-shirt or tank top shipped off to you from me. Also, you will get the opportunity to be a guest here on the SoCal Spring Sports Show. And if you decide to still remain a member of the supporters club, then I'll definitely make it worth your while even more. Maybe I'll ship you off a gift card of your choosing and whatnot, and so on and so forth. But you got to be a member of the supporters club for the SoCal Spring Sports Show, so do keep that in mind. The link is also in the description, and then here's the link right here in the banner. All right, with all that said and done, let's go into some SoCal sports action, as we actually had Ralph Calise pop in the chat room. He said, "Good afternoon, Teran. Here's to having a great show today. SoCal sports has a lot going on right now." Oh, yes. I'm going to hopefully knock this out quite fairly fast. So we'll start with some college men's basketball. So last time I left off, I was talking about college tournaments and whatnot. I mean, UCLA unfortunately did fall to Wisconsin. They got spanked bad against the Badgers. But something I did not know when I was doing my show is that one of UCLA star players hurt his ankle. So it really sucks. But eventually UCLA, spoiler alert, they made the tournament. I mean, let's be honest. They had 7 or 8 ranked wins. One of them was a top 10 win. I think 3 of them were in the top 15. I think they had 6 ranked wins, with 3 wins in the top 15 and then 1 win in the top 10. So if UCLA was missing that NCAA tournament, then there was something wrong with the committee. But UCLA eventually wound up making the NCAA tournament. Now, the big question was, who was going to be representing the Big West? Would we be getting UC San Diego, or would we be getting UC Irvine? Or would we be getting both? Well, the answer is that UC San Diego wound up beating UC Irvine, and it was actually a battle throughout most of the game until the 7-0 run, until UC San Diego went on a 7-0 run with about 4 minutes and change left, and then that's when it was danger zone time for UC Irvine. And UC San Diego, in its first year of postseason eligibility with the Big West Conference and the NCAA tournament, they're dancing, which I thought was very awesome if you ask me. Now, unfortunately for UC Irvine, they did not make the NCAA tournament. I think it's rather ludicrous that they didn't make the NCAA tournament, and that's the bad news. The good news is that UC Irvine did make the NIT. Now, the NIT isn't as glamorous as the NCAA tournament. I get it, because obviously they love to be in the big dance facing the best of the best. But UC Irvine did become a 1 seed in the NIT, and they wound up winning their first match, or their first game, against Northern Colorado, which I thought was pretty solid. And they actually weren't the only SoCal team in the NIT. UC Riverside and CSUN actually got berths into the NIT. But looking at UC Irvine's losses, they do have 1 bad loss, and that was to Duquesne, which I thought was probably the thing that was going to weigh them down. And then they also have a loss to UC, or not. Well, they obviously have losses to UC San Diego, and they also have a loss to UC Riverside and a loss to CSUN. But they also had a loss to Oregon State, which was not going to fly when it came to the committee. I mean, Oregon State's not a bad team, but they're certainly not the best team. So the deck was pretty much stacked against UC Irvine, and them being a mid-major school and not a Power 5 school, the deck was not going to be in their favor. The odds were not going to be in their favor. I mean, the big bad losses were Oregon State and Duquesne. I mean, they had a loss to CSUN, like I mentioned, not too bad of a loss. They obviously lost one to UC San Diego in the regular season, and then they lost one to UC Riverside, and then they also lost another one to UC San Diego in the Big West Conference Championship. So that's how UC Irvine did not make the NCAA tournament. I get it; it's sucky, but it is what it is, and Irvine shouldn't have lost to Duquesne. Maybe they could have gotten in and whatnot. So, but honestly, it is what it is. So the representatives of the Southern California region, in terms of the representatives from the SoCal area in the NCAA men's basketball tournament are UC San Diego, UCLA, and surprisingly San Diego State. So San Diego State was nowhere near on my radar in terms of making the NCAA men's basketball tournament, as they were an at-large, and they actually got in, but you're about to see that they actually did not. They kind of drew the short end of the stick. Now, on the women's side, let's keep it on the men's side. So let's keep it on the men's side, and San Diego State did actually draw a very tough first-round matchup. They actually did get a first-round matchup. They got a first-four matchup, and they took on North Carolina. And let's just say this one was over before was over pretty much 5 minutes in. North Carolina steamrolled San Diego State. It wasn't even close. They were down. They were doubled up at halftime. Yeah, North Carolina was up 47-23 at halftime. So San Diego State was down by as many points it had scored pretty much. And San Diego State, be it as they may, but they just got steamrolled. So it is what it is. San Diego State had such a young team. This isn't like the San Diego State team from last year where they made the Sweet 16, and from the 2 years before where they made the NCAA tournament. So unfortunately, the San Diego State men's basketball teams came to an end, but a very proud season for them. I couldn't be more happy that they made the big dance. I mean, what other SoCal team can say, other than UCLA and UC San Diego, what other SoCal team can say, hey, we made the big dance? And for being a mid-major, that's still pretty good. I mean, I know the Mountain West is a solid conference, but they just can't seem to find a way to get a team outside of the first round. At least with the Big West, they have had teams that have made it out of the first round, but I digress. So yesterday we had UCLA thumping Utah State. I think it was 72-47, which, if you don't know, UCLA is one of the more nationally ranked defenses in the nation. So the fact that UCLA wound up winning by that much is no surprise. Everyone always said, well, some people didn't give UCLA a good chance just because UCLA was inconsistent. They were up and down. They just couldn't play a straight game. Well, against Utah State, they managed to play UCLA basketball. And Mick Cronin said it best following during the postgame interview. It's now survive and advance. And that's pretty much what UCLA does, or that's pretty much what UCLA needs to do. And eventually UCLA is now advancing to the second round where they will take on Tennessee. So I'll get into that matchup a little bit later, but to recap the final first round matchups of the SoCal teams, UC San Diego unfortunately fell to Michigan, but it was not without an amazing effort. But I will say UC San Diego got off to such a horrible start. They were down 10-0 pretty much 5 minutes into the game. And I was looking at this and I was like, oh no, UC San Diego is not off to a good start. But it doesn't help that Michigan was just so tall and athletic, and Michigan was battle tested from that Big Ten conference. So honestly, for UC San Diego, they had an uphill climb. And honestly, I'm just going to say this. I think UC San Diego got the short end of the stick for being a team that had won, didn't they? I think they nearly had 30 wins. And then they wound up winning their conference, which is pretty good. I mean, most of the teams that they beat in that conference, they had 20-plus wins. And their only losses came against teams with 20-plus wins, and I guess a few others. But I digress. But in the second half, UC San Diego found itself down as many as 15, but then they really started to turn it on from the perimeter, and they were doing really good. They actually got the lead down to as little as 6, and then eventually as little as 3. The threes were just not falling at one point for the Tritons, but eventually UC San Diego didn't give up. They didn't back down. They eventually took the lead at 65-64. But then Michigan got back in it with, I think it was a layup, and eventually UC San Diego just did not have the lead ever again. As again, the size and athleticism from Michigan was just too much for the Tritons. I felt heartbroken. I was like, oh man. And I hate to really say this. Some of the calls were a little iffy, if you ask me. I mean, late in the game, I think there were some calls that went against UC San Diego. There was one 3-pointer which the Michigan player stepped out of bounds but nothing was called. And then there were a lot of no-call fouls, which I get it. You want to let the kids play. You don't want to be the ones that decide the outcome of the game. But I don't want to be the blame it on the refs guy. But at the same time, there were some questionable officiating down the stretch of that game. But despite that, UC San Diego had a fantastic season. First year eligible for postseason play. They wound up winning the Big West Conference tournament, and they wound up making the Big Dance as an automatic qualifier, and they pushed a really good Michigan team to the brink. They almost wound up pulling off the win, but unfortunately, they just fell a few baskets too short, and they actually had one more chance to tie it, but it just did not help. It also didn't help that one of their top players fouled out with about 7 minutes to go. But again, despite that, UC San Diego really gave it their all. So I got to give it up to UC San Diego for an outstanding season and a historical season at that. And I hope this is the best is yet to come for the Tritons. Hopefully this could get players to come to UC San Diego and then maybe other players to transfer to UC San Diego, but I digress. So for UCLA, they were the lone SoCal team to make it out of the first round of the big kahuna. But now they have to face Tennessee, which, oh gosh, that's going to be a tricky matchup. But here's the thing about UCLA. They're playing with house money here. They don't have much to lose when it comes to this. So if I'm UCLA, just go out there and just give it your all. And the pressure's on Tennessee because Tennessee is well known for losing games that they're not supposed to win. I mean, Tennessee is the favorite to win this game, but don't count out Mick Cronin's team. Mick Cronin hasn't won 500 games in his college coaching career for nothing. And remember, you got to remember, this is the same Mick Cronin that took UCLA to the Final Four back in the post-COVID era. My only qualm with UCLA is they got to play consistent. They have to play consistent. They can play really good defense, but they got to be consistent in terms of playing on offense. And my big concern for UCLA is their attrition. I feel that they're not 100%. Like, they had a few guys go down with injuries, and I was hoping the sooner that UCLA builds a big lead, the sooner Mick Cronin can put his bench guys in and he can rest his starters for the matchup against Tennessee. So we'll have to see what happens with the Bruins and the Vols. I mean, again, UCLA is playing with house money, so hopefully for the Bruins' sake, they can make it a battle against those Tennessee Vols. So that'll do it for college men's basketball. College women's basketball, all right, so UC San Diego, spoiler alert, they actually wound up making the big dance. They wound up – so remember last time when I was giving commentary on the Hawaii-UC San Diego game in terms of women's basketball? Well, UC San Diego almost let a 27-point lead slip through their fingers because after I had gotten done with SoCal or this show, I pretty much turned on the Hawaii-UC San Diego game. I was like, okay, well, UC San Diego can't possibly mess this up. They almost did. I was unaware Hawaii had a nationally ranked top 10 defense. And I was like, oh, no. UC San Diego, please don't choke this game. Please don't choke this game. Please. Thankfully for UC San Diego, they didn't choke the game away. However, Hawaii did tie the game up. I think it was tied up at 49 apiece, it was either 49 or 48 apiece, and eventually UC San Diego, it was 49 apiece, and then UC San Diego managed to get a clutch layup from Samaya Sugapong. She actually led UC San Diego with 17 points as her game winner with less than a second to go gave UC San Diego the win. Now, this game, obviously, I could just skim through this game just because I can give you all the final score and whatnot, but this game, oh my God, this is the tale of two halves. UC San Diego was up. They were up 41 to 18 at the half. They only scored 6 points, but allowed 11 from the Hawaii. But then Hawaii outscored UC San Diego 20-4. Bear in mind that Hawaii does have a nationally ranked top 10 defense, and it was on full display. Remember, Hawaii was the top overall seed in the Big West Conference tournament, and they were also the regular season Big West Conference champions. So UC San Diego was able to have those late heroics from Samaya Sugapong. That was absolutely amazing moment for her. And I basically just said onions, and this is what March Madness is all about. So great job to UC San Diego. Now, unfortunately, the other team from Southern California, UC Irvine, didn't have much luck against UC Davis. They, be it as they may, they gave it their all. They were down quite a bit at halftime, and I was thinking, okay, well, I don't think UC Irvine's coming back. But just like Hawaii against UC San Diego, UC Irvine came back, and all they just needed was a few clutch baskets. They didn't even need to take threes. Unfortunately for UC Irvine, they just could not surpass UC Davis, as Davis was able to beat them in the other Big West Conference semifinal or Big West Championship semifinal. So the final was between UC San Diego and UC Davis, where UC San Diego wound up beating UC Davis, which gave UC San Diego the automatic qualifier from the Big West, which I thought was absolutely awesome. So both UC San Diego and both UC San Diego basketball teams managed to make the big dance, or the big kahuna. Unfortunately for UC San Diego, they got the worst thing possible. They managed to be in the first four matchup, which I find that rather BS. I think first four matchups should be for at-large teams only. I get it. UC San Diego's record wasn't as glamorous as most people thought, just because they were 20-5 entering the big kahuna. But for UC San Diego, they drew Southern in the first round, and unfortunately they wound up losing. They just couldn't. They fell behind in the first half, and they just couldn't battle back. And it's unfortunate because the ESPN's predictor gave UC San Diego a 60% chance of winning. Thanks, ESPN. But the season ended for UC San Diego, which is unfortunate, but you got to give a lot of credit to them. It was their first ever, just like the men, first year of eligibility in terms of postseason play and in terms of making the big kahuna, the tournament. But unfortunately, their tournament stint was short-lived, as they wound up losing to Southern in the play-in game, which really sucks. But let's be honest, if UC San Diego had beaten Southern, their prize for winning that matchup would have been playing the number one overall seed, UCLA. Yes, UCLA got the number one overall seed of the tournament, and USC also got a number one seed. They were the number 4 overall seed, but they're the number 1 seed of their region. So that's kind of good and bad. I mean, for USC, they obviously are deserving of it, but right in their bracket is UConn. And I know USC beat UConn, but UConn has Paige Beckers, and I know USC doesn't have to travel. However, beating a team twice in one season is complicated, to say the least, especially if it's a team like UConn. So USC is going to really need to lock in when it comes to that matchup. But first, they got to get through their bracket. I mean, I saw that region, and I saw Kentucky nearly pulled out the win against Liberty. So that was a thing right there. So if USC thinks that they're going to be cruising through this bracket, they've got another thing coming. They got to take it one game at a time. They got to prepare for their first opponent accordingly, and so on and so forth. And then San Diego State managed to make, well, as we all know, they wound up winning the Mountain West Conference Championship, and they wound up making the tournament as well, as they drew LSU in the first round of the tournament, which really sucks. I mean, San Diego State's reward for winning the Mountain West Conference tournament is them facing a 3 seed of their bracket, and it's the same bracket as UCLA. So San Diego State drew the short end of the stick and then some. So I will say for San Diego State, it's going to be a tough one. But if they beat LSU, they might actually be heroes, because I cannot stand LSU. I mean, Kim Mulkey can sometimes be really full of herself. So San Diego State women's basketball, please, please, please beat LSU. And then, like I mentioned, UCLA is the top overall seed of the whole tournament as they face Southern. I would have liked to have them played UC San Diego, but let's be honest, I think UCLA is going to advance regardless. All right, but that is that for college and women's basketball. So we are going to actually transition into some NBA action, continuing to stay on the hardwood. So Lakers and Clippers. All right, so the Lakers, they have been really beaten up as of late. I mean, they've played a lot of basketball as of late. I think they've played 3 games in 4 nights the previous 2 times. So you have that right there for the Lakers. The most recent game was a 118-89 loss to the Milwaukee Bucks at home, but they also had to play the Denver Nuggets on Wednesday on national TV. But they beat the Nuggets 120-108. But let's be honest, Nuggets were missing Nikola Jokic and a few other big time stars. So the Lakers got the win over the Nuggets, which actually was part of a 3-game win streak. On Monday, they took down I think it was Monday, if not Tuesday. No, it was Monday. It was Monday where the Lakers took down the San Antonio Spurs 125-109. You're probably wondering, well, why did the Lakers play this matchup? Because that's a lot of basketball being played. Well, it was actually rescheduled due to the fact that this was rescheduled courtesy of the wildfires that happened in Pacific Palisades. So you had that right there. And then Sunday, the Lakers took down the Phoenix Suns 107-96. That was the game that snapped the 4-game skid. And again, it gave the Lakers a 3-game skid up until yesterday's game where they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks 118-89. So in that game against the Bucks, the Lakers pretty much sat most of their starters. They sat Luka Doncic, they sat Austin Reeves. They pretty much sat most of their stars. And the Lakers really missed those stars, as their leading scorer was actually Bronny James, who had 17 points off the bench, mind you. But also they had 17 points from Dalton Connect, who managed to get the start. But yeah, it was a bunch of non-starters that played, as Dorian Finney-Smith was out to an ankle injury. Jared Vanderbilt had a groin injury. So yeah, we got to see a lot of new, fresh faces in the lineup. So the Lakers were beating the Bucks, and the Bucks still had Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kyle Kuzma kind of got his revenge game against the Lakers. How fun for him. Gary Trent Jr. had 23 points off the bench. Yeah, Lakers were not winning this one. So they're actually back in action Saturday as they fly out to Chicago to take on the Bulls. They get to the first meeting between the 2 teams. Actually, no, they're not flying out. They're staying at home, and they're taking on the Bulls. So, okay, that's solid. I mean, it's not bad for the Lakers. The Lakers are still solid. They're still in first place in the Pacific Division, and that's big because if the Nuggets and the Lakers tie in the Western Conference, the Lakers have the tiebreaker over the Nuggets if they win the division. If not, then it goes to, I think, conference record the record against conference teams. So, and then the Lakers would have that tiebreaker for the time being. So Lakers have got to stay consistent, got to keep their foot on the gas. I mean, they play Chicago Saturday at home, but then after that, they have a 4-game road trip as they play at the Orlando Magic on Monday, at the Indiana Pacers on Wednesday, at the Chicago Bulls on Thursday. So back-to-back games. And then Saturday, they're at Memphis before they return home to take on the Rockets, the Warriors, and the Pelicans. So, God, that's a lot of gameplay for the Lakers. They've got a very tough stretch coming up. So we'll see if the Lakers can survive. I mean, I hope that they can. But there is actually a team that's been red hot in terms of the NBA, and that's actually the Clippers. The Clippers have actually won 4 straight. Their most recent game, they took down the Cleveland Cavaliers 132-119. This was in Intuit Arena, and Kawhi Leonard has been on a tear. This dude, when healthy, he's actually turning back the clock. He's turning back the clock to prime Kawhi Leonard when not injured, as Kawhi led the way for the Clippers with 33 points. He also had 7 boards, 4 steals, and 4 assists. Ibaka Zubac had 28 points and 20 boards. Nice 20-20 game right there. James Harden had 22 points. Bogdanovic had 20 points off the bench. Derek Jones Jr. had 10 points. Norman Powell had 11 points. That's pretty darn good. That's a very good win for the Clippers, and it gets them back into the playoff hunt. So by any means, do not let the Clippers get hot. Do not let the Clippers cook. Otherwise, they will burn you. They also took down the Hornets earlier in the week, and as well as the Hawks and the Heat. the Heat was last week, but I digress. But yeah, they've been really beating down their opponents. All those wins during that 4-game win streak have been by double digits. And they've also won 7 of their last 8, as tonight they take on the Memphis Grizzlies. So that'll be a little bit of a test for the Clippers, but they're playing such good basketball. I'm really been impressed by the Clippers and how they've really turned it around, because I was fearing that they were going to be a play-in team, but now they've really turned the tide, and they're nipping at the heels of those Golden State Warriors. I mean, the Warriors are still one of the more hotter teams, especially with adding Jimmy Butler, but I think for the Clippers, they can maybe snatch that 6th spot right out from under their nose. And I think if getting that 6th spot from the Warriors would be such a good thing, especially for the Lakers if they get the 3 spot, because I'd hate for the Lakers to match up against the Golden State Warriors. I mean, they don't really have the size like they did back when they had Anthony Davis, but I don't know. Maybe Jackson Hayes could exploit the matchup at the bigs at the 5 when it comes to that. But we'll have to wait and see, just because the Clippers are still there's still a little bit of a ways to go. Like if the season ended today, they'd be playing in a play-in game against the T-Wolves, and then they'd be hoping to get that 7th spot where they could face the Houston Rockets. But it's a wait-and-see process, as the Lakers and Clippers, they're still doing good guns. I mean, I'm hoping for the Lakers' sake they can hold on. Again, there's a half a game back of the Nuggets, but we the next few days. All right, but that is going to do it for the NBA portion of the show. We're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we've got some MLS to discuss, some NHL to discuss, a little MLB as well, and so much more. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide for your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Mike from Indie Sports Nation. Come hang out with me each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk things Indiana sports. We talk Colts, Pacers, Fever, Indy Ignite, and we dive into the college scene as well. Boilermakers, Hoosiers, Irish, Bulldogs, and every school in between. And we don't stop there. We'll sprinkle in some NHRA and cover the IndyCar series. From the turf to the hardwood to the track, we got you covered. Come hang out with your boy, Big Mike, each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Indie Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows. Indie Sports Nation will be coming on in the next hour and a quarter, hour and 15 minutes. And also, just a fair warning, there might be a little bit of a ding going on because I actually am preheating an oven because I actually have to have dinner made for me and my brother before we head on out to do some business. So I'll hopefully try to mute my mic before you hear a beep noise. So anyway, let's get back into the SoCal sports action. So we're actually going to talk some MLB. Yes, I have not talked MLB in a hot minute, and we might as well. So MLB, Dodgers actually kicked off their season, and while they kicked off their season against the Chicago Cubs, everyone else is still in spring training. And I'm just going to say this right now. I don't care about spring training. Spring training, unless it's like attrition or player development, I really don't care about spring training. Like, spring training is not my cup of tea. It doesn't count for anything. Like, for example, the San Francisco Giants have won 17 games in spring training, but it means nothing. It does not count. So people, please do not tell me, oh, what about spring training and whatnot? No. Spring training doesn't mean anything. So please you're not going to sucker me into getting me to talk spring training. Because honestly, spring training is just like the preseason and whatnot. So, but I digress, and I get it. Like, some people like it, but I'm not too keen on that. Unless there's like big news happening, like if a player got hurt and whatnot, which has happened for a few teams. So, but I digress. I don't, it's not my cup of tea, and maybe it's just me, but honestly, I just don't like talking about like games that don't count for anything. So anyway, for the Dodgers, they actually kicked off their regular season in the Tokyo series against the Chicago Cubs, and the Dodgers wound up winning both games. So you had to be up really early to watch this. This was played in Tokyo, and the Los Angeles Dodgers wound up beating the Chicago Cubs by a final score of 6-3, where Shohei Ohtani did have a home run, and the offense was humming like ever, which I thought was pretty darn cool, if you ask me. So Dodgers, this game was basically the case of the – oh, wait, no, this is the game 2. So the game 2, they wound up winning 6-3. I'm sorry, y'all. But I actually clicked on the wrong game. So the first game between the Dodgers and the Cubs, the Dodgers wound up winning 4-1, and this was Yamamoto and Ohtani delivered when they both pitched, which I thought was pretty cool. So Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani both came up big in the Tokyo series. So Dodgers did start off a little slow. They gave up 1 run in the second inning, but eventually wound up scoring 3 in the 5th inning to eventually take the lead at 3-1. They got an insurance run in the top of the 9th inning and just kept the Cubs away from the scoreboard, as the Dodgers wound up winning 4-1, which I thought was pretty darn cool, if you ask me. So that was big, and that was very amazing. The Dodgers wound up winning the last game of last year, and they wound up winning the first game of this year. And then in the second game, the Dodgers wound up winning 6-2 as Shohei Ohtani hit a solo home run, and the Dodgers offense was just humming like a drum. And the Dodgers got off to a 2-0 lead, eventually boosted it to 3-0. And even when the Chicago Cubs tried to rally back to try to take the lead from the Dodgers, just when the Cubs try to get momentum, the Dodgers snatched the momentum back. The Cubs got 1 run in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Dodgers responded with 2. Cubs got 1 run in the bottom of the 4th inning. Dodgers got 1 in the 5th. Cubs got 1 in the 5th inning. And then the Dodgers just had solid pitching all around, which I thought was amazing. So good, very good win for the Dodgers, as this was the game where the Dodgers started off strong, didn't let up, and made sure the Cubs didn't have any chance of making a comeback. So great win for the Dodgers. Great way to start the season, as they're 2-0 and they're still on pace to get to become. They only need 160 more wins to become 162-0. As Lynn and Nat got the win for the Dodgers, which I thought was pretty good. But I digress. So that's that for the Dodgers right there. Again, everyone else is in spring training. I will make note that this Sunday, the Dodgers and Angels are playing one another in spring training. So you have that right there. I mean, again, it's not all that amazing. Again, it's just spring training, but the regular season is what matters the most. So that's all you all need to know when it comes to the MLB and whatnot. So that'll do it for the MLB. But we've got plenty of action happening when it comes to the MLB. That'll be happening a little bit later. And there goes the beep. And I unfortunately couldn't get to my mic. So anyway, so talking MLS action. So good news for the Galaxy. They didn't lose. That's the good news. The bad news is they wound up tying. They didn't win either. So they didn't lose, but they wound up tying. So they played the Portland Timbers. Both teams were pretty bad, if you ask me. And the Galaxy played Portland to a 1-1 tie. Even though the Galaxy had the possession game 1, and they had more shot attempts, but Galaxy only had 3 shots on goal. And it was actually 0-0 at halftime. Portland actually got the first goal of the match, courtesy of Felipe Mora in the 49th minute. So it was looking really bad for the Galaxy. But thankfully, the Galaxy's heaven sent from Christian Ramirez, or their gift was heaven sent courtesy from Christian Ramirez in the 81st minute, as that actually salvaged the Galaxy a point. So thank goodness the Galaxy wound up winning a game. It would have been so sucky had they wound up losing again. And then for LAFC, they unfortunately wound up losing to Austin 1-0. I actually got to see this game at the gym that I went to here in Texas. And yeah, unfortunate, as Austin, it just felt like LAFC, after giving up that goal, they just could not find their way back. And the really sad thing about this is that I feel that the Galaxy could have won this game, and this is definitely one that they should have won. But they just didn't. They dominated time of possession. They had 71% of time of possession. You would think having time of possession like that would be so big and the LAFC wouldn't lose. And they also had 14 shot attempts, but they only had 3 shots on goal, same with Austin FC. And it sucks because, again, they could have really used this win, as Austin got on the board courtesy of Guilherme Biro, as that wound up being the game that decided the match, as Austin wound up winning 1-0. Unfortunately for LFC, they beat it as they did, they just could not get anything going, which really sucks just because I think LAFC is a better team than that. But sometimes you just got to take the bad with the good. And unfortunately, I keep forgetting, I need to remember that San Diego is now in the MLS. I need to start getting into the remembrance that San Diego is an MLS team. It's not just the LFC and the LA Galaxy. San Diego FC is a part of the MLS. So SoCal has 3 SoCal teams from the MLS. So I got to remember that San Diego is also part of the MLS too. Anyway, so San Diego, they actually tied with the Columbus Crew 1-1 in their most recent matchup. So the good news is that they still have yet to lose. The bad news is they've now drawn two matches in a row. So the Columbus actually got on the board as Max Arfsten scored in the 13th minute for Columbus. So Columbus was up 1-0. And suddenly San Diego was down 1-0 at halftime. Try as they did, nothing was just going in for San Diego. This was kind of concerning. But in the 61st minute, San Diego kind of got a little bit of a gift as Columbus Crew's Matty Amundsen got a red card, which meant that Columbus had to play a man down. And 8 minutes after that red card, San Diego managed to get a goal courtesy of Oni Valakari, as San Diego got the equalizer in the 69th minute. And eventually, San Diego wound up tying the Columbus Crew 2-2. Or, I'm sorry, not 2-2, 1-1. So that's not too bad. I mean, Columbus is actually a pretty darn good team. They're actually third in the Eastern Conference. And possession was actually pretty much neck and neck, as San Diego FC had just a little bit ahead, was like 4.1% ahead of Columbus in terms of the time of possession. And San Diego did get 7 shots on goal. They got 17 shots overall. Columbus only had 3 shots on goal and 6 shots overall. So, and Columbus only had 1 corner kick, while San Diego had 10 of them. But still, San Diego just sadly could not get the win, which really sucks just because it would have been such a big win, even bigger than beating the Galaxy. But it is what it is, as San Diego is back in action when they travel to play Austin on Sunday. And then the Galaxy are back in action when they play the Minnesota Timberwolves, or not Minnesota Timberwolves, Minnesota United FC. Got NBA on the brain. They play Minnesota tomorrow. And then LAFC is back in action tomorrow when they head down to the land of Patrick Mahomes to take on Sporting KC. Because if I recall correctly, I think Sporting KC is owned by Patrick Mahomes, but I digress. But that is pretty much going to do it for the NHL. So nobody wound up winning, which really sucks, but only one team lost. So it is what it is, and I can't complain too much about it, but it would be great to see the SoCal teams winning. Like, we have not had a week where all the SoCal teams in the MLS have won, but I digress. I'm looking at you, Galaxy. You've lost. You haven't won a match, and you're the reigning champions. I really hope the Galaxy don't go from worst to first to back to being worst. God, Galaxy just can't seem to, and you can't even blame Chris Klein for this. Anyway, but that's that for the MLS. Jumping to the NHL, onto the ice. All right, so the Ducks, look, as great of a story and turnaround as the Ducks have been, being more competitive and trying to make some sort of playoff push, they're still pretty behind. As their most recent win, they took down the Nashville Predators 4-1. Well, that actually snapped a 2-game skid as they wound up losing to the Dallas Stars 4-3. And if I recall correctly, I think that loss came in overtime. Yes, it did come in overtime. So Anaheim did get a point, but the Ducks unfortunately just could not steal one on the road against Dallas. And then against the St. Louis Blues, they wound up getting thumped by them 7-2. And this one wasn't even close. This one was just straight up donkey do for Anaheim. It just was not their night when it came to this. And it really sucks because St. Louis just took them to the woodshed and then some. But thankfully the Predators win what snapped a 2-game skid. However, it's against the Predators. The Predators suck. So anyway, the Ducks are back in action Sunday when they host the Carolina Hurricanes. So here's hoping the Ducks can gain some ground. They're 8 points behind Vancouver in the Pacific Division standings. Whereas the Kings, they actually are, and speaking of the Kings, they're actually 7 points ahead of Vancouver. I'd be shocked if the Kings managed to whiff a playoff spot. If they manage to fumble the bag and miss out on making the playoffs, then I'd be flabbergasted. But as for the Kings, they actually had won 5 in a row before losing to the Minnesota Wild on the road 3-1. So that was a bummer of a loss, as Minnesota they're actually pretty good. They're actually much better at home than most people give them credit for. Well, okay, maybe not much better, but still, they're pretty darn good on the road. As the Kings actually led 1-0 after the first period. But then second period, Minnesota got a goal. and it was tied 1-1. And then Minnesota just kept LA off the board in terms of scoring. And then Minnesota scored 2 goals to pretty much distance themselves from the Kings. So it is what it is when it comes to LA. I mean, that loss really hurt because it snapped a 5-game win streak. And they were gaining a lot of ground. And they were to the point where they were nipping on the heels of the Vegas Golden Knights. Fortunately for the Kings, they managed to bounce back as they took down the Chicago Blackhawks on the road 3-1. I mean, this isn't a surprise. I mean, the Blackhawks stink, and they are eliminated from playoff contention. So Blackhawks are pretty much just in tank mode right now. So for the Kings, they are back in action tomorrow when they host the Carolina Hurricanes. That'll be a little bit of a tricky matchup. I mean, Carolina, I feel, is pretty good. But you can never count the Kings, especially since the Kings are such a darn good team at home. So do not count out the LA Kings at home by any means. As Brian Francione pops in the chat room, he says, "Good afternoon, Teran." Well, good afternoon to you too, Brian. Thank you for popping in. It is greatly appreciated. So that'll pretty much do it for the NHL portion of the show. We're going to take one last commercial break as I got to get dinner in the oven. Promise you all the dinger won't ding when it comes to me. Well, the dinger will sound right as the show ends. But when I get back from putting my dinner in the oven, we'll be talking some NFL with the Chargers and the Rams, and then we've got Dum Dum of the Week. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate die-hard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports, and I will update you on all that's black and gold. Have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the User Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernick, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back with the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, as the Ins Report will actually not be live tonight. It'll actually be live tomorrow with the time. I actually am blanking on the time. I think it is going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ralph, if you're still in the chat room. But definitely do check out that. Definitely also check out Chi-Town Weekly when it comes to Adam's show, as well as the Neutral Zone. So there you have it right there. And let's talk some NFL. So NFL-wise, it's been a little bit busy for the Chargers as, you're reading that correctly. The Chargers wound up signing Mekhi Becton. So I actually saw this. I was like, whoa. Boing. Yeah, I was flabbergasted. I'm like, no way. The Chargers signed Mekhi Becton. That was awesome right there. So I thought that was very good for the Chargers just because the O-line really needs some beefing up and whatnot. So I think this is a good signing. Now, Mekhi Becton has had his injury woes, but that was with the New York Jets. He did just recently win a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was part of that monstrous offensive line that kept Jalen Hurts under center, well protected, and also was part of the tush push. So Chargers signed Mekhi Becton. They also signed Andre James, who is also a center. So, okay, more offensive line help. Maybe the Chargers don't have to draft a full offensive line for their draft after all. And they also signed defensive tackle Deshaun Phillips. So good signings right there for the Chargers. That's looking pretty good. But they did have to part ways with Morgan Fox. So unfortunately for the Chargers, they have to say goodbye to him, which makes me sad face. He was actually one of the more better parts of the Chargers defense when it came to their defense. And this one kind of hurt for seeing their team, for seeing the Chargers depart for him. So it is what it is. I mean, the NFL is a business and you want to pretty much go where the money goes. But unfortunately, it is what it is for the Chargers. And I will miss Morgan Fox. I mean, I missed Joey Bosa when he departed from the Chargers, but now he's with the Buffalo Bills. So it is what it is, but I will miss him, and thank you, Morgan Fox, for everything. So that is pretty much that right there for the Chargers. I mean, nothing too out of the ordinary right there. They just made it official with some of their players. I mean, Mekhi Becton's a very good offensive lineman when healthy. If the Chargers can keep him healthy, awesome sauce. But they got to keep him healthy. And I did not mean to do that for a long while, but I digress. But keep Mekhi Becton healthy. Andre James can be a good center. And then the Chargers have Del'Shawn Phillips, not Deshaun Phillips. Del'Shawn Phillips, who came from Houston. So solid pickups right there for the Chargers. I think the Chargers are looking good in free agency. Now, as for the Rams, they've had themselves quite the busy free agent signings as they've actually brought back Ahkello Witherspoon and Ronnie Rivers. So Rivers, I'm not too ultimately keen about. I mean, the Rams still have a good running back room with. Oh man, it's been a minute since I've talked to Rams and their running backs. So, but they have it's Blake Corum, and then I'm blanking on the other guy's name. It's something Williams. It's like it's like something Williams. I'm probably going to be kicking myself when it comes to their running backs. Like I'm just going to pull it up right now and whatnot. But Kyron Williams, that's his name. Kyron Williams. How could I blame that? How could I forget about that? But yeah, Kyron Williams is still with the Rams, so I've been told, pretty much. And then Blake Corum is still on his rookie deal. I expect Blake Corum to get more touches. Like, the Rams need to implement him more in the run game, not just have Kyron Williams just do the whole thing. I mean, Kyron Williams is good, but sometimes he's had fumbles when it comes to the Rams in their run game, which really sucks. And that's kind of a negative when it comes to him. And it's kind of rubbed Rams fans the wrong way. But I digress when it comes to that. But getting Ahkello Witherspoon back is big. Now, one Rams site says that Rams re-signing Ahkello Witherspoon is another Band-Aid at cornerback. Not true. Spoon really helped out in terms of the defense when it came to the Rams. Like, it wasn't even certain that he was going to come back, and then no one had picked him up, and then the Rams just said, you know what, we'll sign you for cheap. Come back, Spoon. So I'm very happy that the Rams brought back Ahkello Witherspoon. I mean, they'll probably draft a corner in the draft, probably in the second round. I highly doubt they go corner first round. They need to go offensive lineman, whether it's getting Josh Simmons and what, or I think that's his name, Josh Simmons. But regardless, they really need to. The Rams need to hit home runs when it comes. Yeah, Josh Simmons. That's the offensive lineman. I actually have him going to the Rams if he falls to the Rams. If they don't, then I would be very, very, very sad. But I'm also seeing projections that the Houston Texans could land Josh Simmons in his mock draft. I would hate for that to happen, but you never know with the Texans. I mean, the Texans just extended Derek Stingley Jr., but I digress. I mean, maybe the Rams could trade up, and then maybe they could get Josh Simmons. I mean, anything to, like, bring him home back to SoCal and get some more offensive line help, because he was very integral when it came to Ohio State's championship run in the national championship. All right, so yeah, the Rams brought back Ahkello Witherspoon and Ronnie Rivers, and then they signed inside linebacker Nate Landman and defensive tackle Latrell Murchison. So that's the good news. They were all on one-year deals, so it's pretty much all Band-Aids. I mean, Spoon, I think, can maybe get a little bit more of a bigger deal. But honestly, for the Rams, I can't complain about that just because I love Ahkello Witherspoon. He's fantastic. He's fantabulistic. But we shall see when it comes to Ahkello Witherspoon and if he'll pan out. I want to say he's like in his 30s. I mean, I don't think it's like all that bad. But honestly, the Ahkello Witherspoon signing is big just because the Rams do need a long-term answer at cornerback. But honestly, they can't make miracles happen overnight. I mean, if they're going to get a cornerback, they're going to need to go young, or they're going to need to make a splash trade. But Ahkello Witherspoon, he is currently why is his age not like shown? Anyway, but yeah, Ahkello Witherspoon. I mean, I won't complain about it. I'm not going to complain about it by any means. And he's 30 years old, so he's 30 years old, and hopefully today's his birthday. Wow! So today he just turned 30. What a coincidence! So happy birthday to Ahkello Witherspoon! Congratulations on turning 30 years old. Welcome to the Dirty 30s. I hope he could stay durable and fresh for as long as he can. But while the Rams did sign those 4 players to one-year contracts, they had to see Demarcus Robinson, Christian Roseboom, Michael Holt, and Bobby Brown III go. So Demarcus Robinson unfortunately went to the 49ers. Christian Roseboom, nobody was all that concerned about him because everyone and their mamas hated Christian Roseboom. I mean, it is what it is. Michael Holt, I kind of am sad that he went, but it is what it is. And Bobby Brown III, I'm sad that he went as well, and he's going to Carolina. So yeah, the Rams had to say goodbye to other players as well. They also saw Cooper Kupp sign with the Seattle Seahawks, which really, why'd you have to go to Seattle? Yeah, Cooper Kupp went to the Seattle Seahawks. So last week, I praised Cooper Kupp for everything. I was happy he won the Super Bowl MVP when the Rams wound up winning Super Bowl 56. But then he goes to the freaking Seattle Seahawks. Oh, no, Cooper Kupp, how could you do this? And it's as my boy AC to GDB, a.k.a. Soup, would say. I hope these 3 years go by so fast. I mean, I, as well as the Ramily, love Cooper Kupp. I mean, everyone loves Cooper Kupp and will always be grateful for all that Cooper Kupp did with the Rams. I just hate that now he's on the Seahawks. So you can hate the team, but you can't hate the player. But I digress. But yeah, it's going to be a little weird seeing Cooper Kupp in navy blue and green, but it is what it is. And sadly, again, the NFL's a business. It was a 3-year, $32 million deal. So I don't blame Cooper Kupp for wanting the bag just because he's a former Super Bowl MVP. And I think he still has a few years left in him. He is coming off of back-to-back years where he had massive injuries, where he missed some time. But Cooper Kupp should still have a little bit left in the tank. And the Rams obviously have Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. I mean, Puka's still on his rookie contract, while Devontae Adams is pretty much approaching the high age. But it is what it is. I think he still has that speed in him. All right, so that's pretty much that when it comes to the Rams and their free agent signings. It hasn't been too splashy when it comes to the Rams and Chargers in terms of free agency, so I'm not going to spend too much time, and I'm not going to spend time on mock drafts and whatnot. So we are going to give out the Dum Dum of the Week. So Dum Dum of the Week is the award I like to give out to when it comes to anyone or an organization that does or says something dumb. Nobody is safe from this award. Anyone can get this award by any means whatsoever. And you know what? I have a bone to pick with the committee. I really don't like how they left UC Irvine out of the tournament. But you know who they put through in terms of the NCAA tournament? Texas. They put Texas, the University of Austin, Texas, into the tournament. And they wound up losing to Xavier. So, and the worst part about UC Irvine not being in the tournament is that they weren't even a first 4 out team or a first 8 out team or the next 4 out team. So basically, UC Irvine needed to win the Big West Conference tournament to get into the Big Dance. Otherwise, it's off to the NIT they go. I mean, I hope for UC Irvine's sake, they win the NIT and they prove how wrong the committee was. Just because the committee shouldn't, I get it, you want to put the best teams in, but who's to say UC Irvine isn't one of the better teams? They're probably one of the best mid-major schools out there. UC Irvine was robbed, and the committee robbed them of a chance of showcasing their true talent. Now they are in the NIT, where they're going to be out to prove those screwballs from the committee wrong. And I hope UC Irvine runs the table in the NIT. But yeah, I mean, UC Irvine's kind of the only team remaining in the NIT because UC Riverside lost to Santa Clara and CSUN lost to Stanford. Oh, God. We're losing to NorCal teams. Boo. Anyway, but UC Irvine got robbed by the committee. Screw you, committee, for not giving us the 2-bid Big West. Screw you for not giving West Coast any love. And screw you for legit screwing UC Irvine out of a chance to make the Big Dance. All we just want is some good mid-majors into the Big Dance to showcase their talent and what they can truly do. But no, you want to put your Power 4 schools in. And you're also willing to put UC San Diego, or not UC San Diego, San Diego State in there. And this is no offense to San Diego State. I mean, they obviously played a tough schedule and they have some notable wins. They've been ranked. But my God, San Diego State just laid an egg against North Carolina. They lost to a North Carolina team that had only 1 quad win. Now they have 2 quad wins, but I digress. But yeah, the NCAA Men's Basketball Selection Committee can take this dum-dum of the week. I don't care what anyone says. Them leaving UC Irvine out was ridiculous. It was sad. It was disappointing. And for us Big West fans such as myself, we want justice. So dum-dum of the week goes to the NCAA Men's Basketball Selection Committee, and there's no debate on that. And that's all I got to say about that. Anyway, so that was that for the Dum Dum of the Week. I was going to give it also to Cooper Kupp, but for all that he's done for the Rams in terms of helping win the Super Bowl, becoming Eli Apple's daddy, etc., I can never give it to Cooper Kupp. I mean, again, hate the team, but don't hate the player. I mean, Cooper Kupp pretty much the Rams owe a great deal of debt in terms of Cooper Kupp for helping the Rams win the Super Bowl in the Rams house. Yes, it was the Rams house, not the Chargers house. Until the Chargers win a Super Bowl, let alone a playoff game in SoFi, the Chargers have no right to call SoFi their house. SoFi Stadium is Rams house. And I know I'm wearing a Chargers jersey, but Rams house is SoFi Stadium. End of discussion. Anyway, that is going to do it for the Dum Dum of the Week. I don't think I know any other dum-dums of the week, I mean, I guess last night in the iSports Radio group chat, someone was wondering, one of the hosts of the Wisconsin Whistle, Dan Diehard, he said whoever invented load management should be expelled from the NBA, and that was actually the San Antonio Spurs and Greg Popovich, but we love Pop too much. He's been through enough already, but I digress. Anyway, that is going to do it for the Dum Dum of the Week. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in live or on the playback. It really means a lot. Also, one more thing, there will not be any UC San Diego men's basketball slander. That's going to be, matter of fact, let's bring back Dum Dum of the Week. Dum Dum of the Week goes out to everyone that slandered UC San Diego, and I guess we'll give mini Dum Dum of the Week to the officiating crew. Again, I don't like blaming the officials when it comes to losses, but some of that officiating was pretty chalky and questionable, if you ask me. But Dum Dum of the Week goes out to everyone else that wants to take a crap on UC San Diego after that outstanding performance. Some Michigan fans are cool, and then they were saying, good game, you guys played amazing. But some are just complete idiots. So to all the idiots and bozos out there that are having their victory lap against UC San Diego, you're Dum Dum of the Week, and you're going to have karma getting slapped in your face. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you to everyone that tuned in live. This is actually going to be the last time I have this show in my brother's apartment, as I'm coming home next week. And it all starts Monday. So you'll be seeing me back at home when I do set point. But until then, have a great rest of the evening, a great rest of the afternoon, a great rest of the day, a great weekend. Enjoy all of March Madness. Enjoy everything. I will see you all on Monday for set point. Have yourself an amazing week. Be safe, be well, and remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace.